Today I'll be outlining the sugar glider, or otherwise known as the Pteris briceps. We will focus on evolutionary topics and the survival adaptations they've developed. In regards to scientific classification, the sugar glider belongs in the Animalia kingdom, the Chordata phylum, the Mammalia class, and within this class he is a marsupial, the Diprotodontia order, the Pteridae family, Pterus genus, and finally, it is a P. breviceps species. Sugar gliders have a relatively broad habitat niche. They can live in wider rainforest environments as well as drier forests or Australian scrub. They are nocturnal organisms like most marsupials and often take shelter in hollow trees. They've been found all over the eastern/northeastern areas of Australia as well as Tasmania, New Guinea, Indonesia, and smaller surrounding islands. Sugar gliders are omnivores. They eat both insects and plant life, such as honeydew or sap, depending on the season and environment. So the first evolutionary topic I want to speak about is biogeography. Sugar gliders live in multiple islands, as I mentioned before, and if you look at locations such as Indonesia, New Guinea, they kind of seem to fit into Australia and kind of fit into each other. So from this, we are inclined to examine things such as Gondwana or Pangaea, where many major continents connected to create one large landmass. Because many animals once lived in similar habitats on Gondwana, and the land was later separated, related organisms can be found in different locations. This is why organisms on smaller islands tend to be similar to those on the closest mainland. Closer but different environments will have more recently related organisms than farther but similar environments will. A perfect example of this is the sugar glider and the flying squirrel. Both live in relatively similar habitats, but aren't very recently related. The second evolutionary topic I want to speak about is homologous and analogous structures in terms of anatomy. Sugar gliders and flying squirrels, as mentioned before, appear to have a closely related ancestor, when in fact they don't. Squirrels are actually rodents and placentals, whereas sugar gliders are marsupials. This is where they break off in the Mammalia class. Although both small tree animals have developed a thin membrane that connects from their front wrists and back ankles, it isn't actually a trait they both inherited from a common ancestor. It's an analogous structure that both organisms have evolved to have, due to the fact it helps them succeed in each of their different environments. In addition to the webbing, both have similarly shaped tails that are used by both organisms to steer and stern themselves while in flight, giving them the ability to maneuver through wooded areas in which they live in. The third evolutionary topic I want to speak about is adaptation and variation, as well as natural selection. Like all animals we see on today's planet, the sugar glider has evolved certain adaptations. Some physical adaptations may be their large bulging eyes, their webbed limbs, their distinct tails, their unproportionately large ears, their triangularly shaped nose, and a coat of fur that reflects their environment. In addition to the triangular shape, sugar gliders have the physiological adaptation of advanced smell, similar to that of dogs. Another physiological adaptation they have is heightened sense of hearing, which coincides with their physical trait of large ears. This helps them defend themselves from predators and stalk out prey. These were all once mutations that benefited the organism in surviving and reproducing. Natural selection comes into play because the organism best fit for the environment will prosper. Therefore, the ancestor of the sugar glider died out through being out-resourced and less equipped for survival compared to the organism with these adaptations. This brings me to the history of the sugar glider. The fourth evolutionary topic I want to speak about is fossils. Sugar gliders adapted into their recent appearance approximately 15,000 years ago. Fossils of these gliding creatures have been found in caves at Buchan, Victoria, and as early as 1967, along with New South Wales and South Australia, where actually most of the fossils have been found. The first rat-like ancestor of this organism was prevalent during the age of the mammals. From there, the sugar gliders evolved. As well, in the Jurassic period, a nocturnal animal called the Blattacotherium is thought to be the first real representation of a sugar glider. We've been able to make these conclusions through the fossils we have discovered, as seen here. These fossils are transactional because the bone structures of the organism have stayed relatively similar to that of the involved animal. In conclusion, sugar gliders are very awesome creatures with a very interesting history. A history that is evident through biogeography, homologous and analogous structures, anatomy, adaptation and variation, natural selection, fossils, and much more. Through my research, I've developed a deep understanding of evolution and factors that prove it. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed.